"Good morning," said the woman as she walked past the man lying on the ground. He looked up at her, bewildered. It was immediately clear that the woman was well off. Her expensive coat and manicured hands spoke for themselves. At first, the man thought she was mocking him, like many others who passed by him every day. "Leave me alone," he said angrily. But to his surprise, the woman didn't move. She smiled, revealing a straight row of beautiful white teeth. "Are you hungry?" she asked. "No," he replied with a smirk. "I just had lunch with the president. Now go on your way." Her smile widened. Suddenly, he felt her hand on his. "What are you doing, lady? I said leave me alone." A nearby police officer, hearing the commotion, approached. "Is there a problem here, ma'am?" he asked. "No, officer," she replied. "I'm just trying to help this man to his feet. Could you assist me?" The officer scratched his head, puzzled. "This old man is our local homeless fellow. He's been living on this street for years. What do you want with him?" "Do you see that cafe over there?" she asked. "I want to take this man there and get him something to eat." "Lady, are you crazy?" The homeless man resisted with all his might. "I don't want to go there." Suddenly, he felt the strong hand of the police officer lift him from the other side and raise him from the ground. "Let me go." "I haven't done anything." "Calm down. She wants to help you," the officer replied. "And don't argue with her." Finally, with some effort, the woman and the officer led the old man into the cafe and seated him at a corner table. It was late morning, breakfast had passed, and lunch had not yet begun, so there were few people. The manager immediately approached their table. "Officer, what's going on here?" he asked. "What does this mean? Is this man in trouble?" "This lady brought him here to treat him to breakfast," the officer replied. "Not here!" The manager responded irritably. "The presence of such people is bad for business." The old bum grinned a toothless smile. "You see, I told you. Now let me go, please." The woman turned to the cafe employee. "Young man, are you the manager of this cafe? Do you know who rents your banquet hall every week?" "Of course," he replied. "They are our most esteemed clients." "Oh, and you must make a good profit from these meetings." "What's it to you?" "Excuse me, young man. I am the president and CEO of the company that rents this hall." "Oh, I'm sorry," the shocked manager could only utter. The woman smiled again. "I think this changes things, doesn't it?" She glanced at the police officer, who was trying hard not to laugh. "Would you like to join us for a cup of coffee and lunch, officer?" "No, thank you," he replied. "I'm on duty." "Then perhaps a cup of coffee to go?" "Yes, thank you." "That would be very kind of you." The manager collected himself and quickly said, "Your coffee will be ready right away." The officer turned to the woman. "You handled that well. That wasn't my intention. Believe it or not, I have other reasons." She sat down at the table across from the bewildered vagrant and looked him straight in the eye. "Friend, do you remember me?" The old man studied her for a few minutes. "Well, you do seem familiar. I'm a bit older now, and certainly I look different than in my youth when you worked here. Once I came into this very cafe, hungry, cold, in cheap clothing." "You!" The officer standing nearby couldn't help but comment. He couldn't believe that such a chic woman could have ever looked otherwise. "I had just graduated from college," the woman continued. "I came to the city looking for work but couldn't find anything. Eventually, I ran out of money and was evicted from my rented apartment. It was February, freezing cold, I had nowhere to go, and I wandered into this cafe to warm up." A broad smile suddenly lit up the old man's face. "Now I remember," he exclaimed. "I was standing behind the counter. You came up and asked if you could work here in exchange for food. I told you it was against the establishment's rules." "Exactly," the woman replied. "Then you made me the biggest sandwich on the menu, offered me hot coffee, and didn't take any money from me. I was afraid you'd get in trouble with your boss because of me. Then I saw you put your own money into the register for my breakfast." "Yes, did you start your business?" the old homeless man asked eagerly. "I got a job the next day. I paved my way to a successful life. Eventually, I started my own business, and with God's help, it grew and prospered." She opened her purse and took out a business card. "When we finish here, I want you to visit my commercial director. He's in charge of personnel at our company. I'll talk to him, and I'm sure he'll find a suitable job for you in the office." She smiled. "I think he might even give you an advance so you can buy clothes and find housing until you get back on your feet. And remember, if you ever need anything, my door is always open for you." "Thank you." Tears streamed down the vagrant's cheeks. "How can I repay you?" "Don't thank me," the woman replied. "God helped me through you. Now he is helping you through me." As they left the cafe, the officer and the woman paused at the entrance before going their separate ways. "Thank you for your help, officer." "On the contrary, ma'am," he replied. "Thanks to you, I witnessed a miracle today. I will never forget this. And thank you for the coffee. Let us remember, God exists and life is full of surprises. You reap what you sow. Thank God for everything."